Yeah, different lessons. Very
so yeah, I wish there was. That would make me. But all this brings every
This is a bus ride en route to our starting point. After having left the hotel, we're heading to where we'll pick up our bikes and get them set up for riding. A group of 25 participants in this Backroads. Unfortunately, I didn't take my video camera with me as I was biking today, but it was up on the hills, and then from here on out it'll be island hopping, going on 2 or 3 islands and then back to the mainland before we finish in Dubrovnik. So what they did is we were on a tour bus of sorts that took us up in the hills where we met with our bikes, got them set up, and then started biking. A lot of the biking was downhill. A lot of it was switchbacks going either uphill or downhill, but it was, I thought, a good experience. It was 28 kilometers before lunch and 26 kilometers after lunch for those who did bike the whole way. And most of them did, as I recall. Only 4 of our 25 did not bike in the afternoon.
Now just things on slightly serious note. So whatever is happening on the boat, we have to listen to our captains, Stipe and rest of the crew. So now it really doesn't matter what Evan, Nina, Nico and I say. If the boat captain says, hey guys, go on the upper deck, we go to the upper deck. Hey guys, you do 10 push-ups, we do 10 push-ups, right? So just to keep that in mind. Also, when we are docking or leaving the port, please make sure, you might forget about it, and it's not a problem, but if we're gonna be more directive in these situations, I apologize, but the sides of the boat, they have to be always empty. So we should not be walking, because the guys, the crew, are running on the sides, throwing the rope, pulling the boat, and they have to have enough space so we safely dock. That's it. Now we have around 50 minutes to get to Postira, to Brac. And in case I forgot something, I might have forgot something, I'm gonna just announce it again. But right now, you can chill, you can relax. You already know the itinerary for the day. I'm gonna go over it again. Yeah, so we're gonna repeat that. Even though we won't be cycling today, we expect this day to be awesome. Great time to kind of bond, talk a little bit more. We're gonna spend so much time together, and then in the next days we're gonna have wonderful cycling days. So you don't really have to worry that you're not cycling today, because we really want you to be safe. We don't want to be super wet or exposed to lightning and thunder. With that being said, maybe Nick wants to go to the overview of the day, and then, yeah.
Beautiful, thanks Dom. So like Dom said, we have about a 50-minute transfer to Postira. That's where we're going to start our adventure for the day. There'll be a bus there waiting for us. We'll exit the boat. Is because we're getting back on this boat this afternoon, feel free to leave your day packs on the boat. Just make sure you have your rain layer. We'll hop on the bus, and then we set up a presentation of the stonemasonry school in Brac. As I said last night, Brac is known for its limestone production, very heavy in limestone, and so they have quarries, and then they have a trade school where they teach some of the locals, people really from all over Croatia that want to learn the craft of stonemasonry at this school. We're going to have the gentleman who runs the school give us a presentation and kind of give us a little bit of information on what that looks like. And then after that, we're going to transition back onto our bus, and we're going to take about a 30-minute transfer to a winery in the little town of Bol. And at that point, we'll have some wine tasting, they'll have some olive oil for us, some local produce, and give us a little bit of insight on exactly how they process and harvest their grapes and their olives. And then Stipe is going to basically circumvent the island and meet us in that town of Bol in the afternoon. Our pickup time for that is going to be 1:30. So we'll set a meeting time, we'll let everybody know exactly where we're going to meet. We'll transition back onto the boat, and then from there we'll have a 3 to 3.5 hour transfer, depending on the weather, over to Hvar. At that point, it looks like we've been, I feel like I could be a weatherman at this point. We have been studying the hour by hour, and it looks like the weather's going to clear up and the sun's going to come out on that transfer back over to Hvar. And then shortly thereafter that, we'll be served a big and really delicious lunch on board, so you guys will be well fed, as always. And then we'll finish our adventure into Hvar town. You don't all have to stay in here for the entire boat ride. There's a nice kind of enclosed seated area up front if you'd like to go up there. And then if you guys want to go up top, you can go around the back of the boat. There's a small staircase that leads up, and you can sit up there. Doesn't look like we're gonna get too much rain on the way. So, anybody have any questions?
Day 2 here, we have a lot of bad weather predicted, rain, thunder, lightning, and so we're going to this island, as was explained, that it's about a half hour to get there, and then after we've seen that island, we're going to actually go to the other side of the island and pick up this same boat, and then continue on to the next island, which is Hvar. So this is the island we're on. We'll cross through it, and the boat's going to go around the end of it, meet us on the other side. So I just talked to the leader, and that is Hvar. So we're now to the other side of Brac, where we'll pick up the boat we left earlier. Second and last stop here on Brac. Mosquito Winery. So just outside the winery is our boat waiting for us, and once again it is raining. So it's not been a good day to bike anyway, which is why they have these touristy things to do, and they drove us from one side of the island to the other.
I just think it's fun. I thought it was hysterical.
Bunch of stuff going on.
We're about 2 hours into our 3-hour boat ride to Hvar.
Oh yeah, 6.
There's people to pass the
I got a 4.
I didn't take a video of the visit, but there was this visit to a stonemason school on Brac.
In the last place,
So anyway, they gave some examples of how they cut and shape stone by hand as part of this educational program.
And in the lead. With the lead, you didn't want to play for money.
The real adventure was the bus ride over the island.
So we got 2 more.
Welcome to day 3. We
Got my
have
other
a
helmet.
really awesome day planned for you guys, and we're excited to execute it with higher and higher. You'll start to have this really beautiful panoramic view. The sea is going to be on your left, and then on your right, you're going to see these geometrical plots of land. Okay, and most folks are like, "What the heck is that?" You're surrounded by it. Those are called the Stadigrad Plains. So in the 16th century, the Greeks migrated to all of these islands, specifically to Hvar and Korcula, and they were they had a high aptitude for agriculture. However, there was a problem. The land was very, very rocky, and so to plant their trees and all of their crops, they had to move all of the rocks, and what they did was, because the Greeks were always kind of advanced in all these different areas, was they created these agricultural plots, and the land, you'll see, is very, very sloped. So the plot served 2 purposes. The first was to delineate the land for their crops, and the second was they created a really advanced for the time gutter system. So when it rained, because it rains very sparsely on this island, they would collect the water through the gutters, and they would have these big clay cisterns at the bottom, and that would be, in times of drought, they would save the water and then use it to water their crops. So we'll have a view of that. And it's UNESCO protected, so you can't build on it, and they're perfectly preserved. They're hundreds and hundreds of years old. So that'll kind of be the first highlight of the day, and then obviously the beautiful scenery. At the very top of the hill, I have some lavender sprigs right here. That is where our first support stop of the day will be. So I know Don mentioned last night, you'll have the opportunity to buy some really cool custom Croatia biking jerseys. She sells them up there. There's coffee, there's bathrooms, there's a beautiful, beautiful view of the surrounding villages and sea below. So we'll have a support stop up there, 10-15 minutes, and then we will start our first downhill of the day. Okay, so just to recap, starting from here, heading down, first few kilometers downhill, making a right-hand turn, and then the uphill begins.
So this is day 3 of our Croatian bike trip. And this is the view from near the top of one of the mountains we're riding up. And the view probably gets better than this, but this is where I decided it looks like a good photo op to start. Now, I didn't get here all on my own. This is a Backroads bike equipped with a battery. That's another one of our group there who's also got a battery, and in the transaxle area is a motor, and so this control thing goes from eco to something to sport to turbo, depending on how much assistance you want electrically. And then this device, a Wahoo GPS, tells you where you are, where you're going, and if you're following the trail, and it lights up some lights on the top if you're off trail. Now, I didn't turn this on properly. It says 7.9 kilometers for the distance elapsed, but it's really another 3.3 kilometers more than that, because I realized I was at 0 kilometers after biking quite a ways. So anyway, that takes extra instructions how to use, which I don't really necessarily remember. Now, I brought along this rear view mirror, Miracle, which I was able to attach at the end of the arm handle. And I brought along this cushioned seat because the regular bike seats that Backroads supplies are too skinny. Too skinny for my butt. And then they do supply this back carrier pack. And then I've got a little lightweight backpack I'm also carrying because I've got another helmet. They supply the helmets, but I've got another helmet in the little backpack because I've got a camera mount on that, and so I might later put my video camera here on the helmet and video part of the trip as I'm biking. But I'm just stopping here because it looks like it's a scenic overlook spot. So this is a stop near the top of the hill restaurant, and this is a view from the top. This is looking in the opposite direction where I was just looking, so great scenery up here. So in going down a steep hill like this, what I'm doing is feathering the brakes. I'm braking with my right and left to keep from going too fast down the hill. The regulator device tells me I'm going 20 kilometers per hour as slow as I'm going here. And mainly, of course, driven by gravity since I'm not pedaling at all. This is still morning on the third day of our Croatian Backroads biking trip. Of course, day 2 was only boat ride mainly. One of the reasons they call it Backroads, they try to give you tours of an area using back roads, and that's the theme of most of the bike trips. They don't try to take you onto busy thoroughfares if they can at all avoid it. Smooth road. out one of our trip leaders here. He's going to tell us which way to turn.
This is a busy crossing, so just stop for a sec, let him go. Yeah, go ahead.
Whoop.
Alright, looks good to me. Good to go. Oh, hey, Don.
That was just a busy crossing as things go in Backroads.
You want me to pass you
Sure.
on the left? Passing you? Okay.
Car back. So they have tour buses, which are actually too big for the lane size around here, but they still have them. I periodically glance down at my Wahoo GPS just to make sure I'm on the approximate path. I'm following another member from the group, who happens to be my wife. We don't get lost like we used to with the paper instructions of 2010 to 2015, all we had were paper instructions, when to make turns, sort of some feature to look for, but it was really easy to get lost on those trips because you didn't know how far you traveled and where the next turn was and how it all made sense. Now with the GPS, it guides you through the whole route. When you go off the route, it starts making some funny sounds and flashing lights.
camera.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got it all going on. It's hilarious.
GoPro. And then he does upgrade stationary bike. That's great. At home.
That's what it says.
But I also post these online.
He posts it online.
Oh, you'll have to show us where to find it.
I'll send you an email, but it probably won't be till like,
These books are awful.
You know you gotta stand up. Look at all the orange
they don't want us to go fast. So again, what was just mentioned by me is that I post these online, and then if you look below the video frame, there's a narrative section. On YouTube, there's like 3 lines of print you can see, and then there's a more link. Click the more link, it'll open up the narrative section, and in that narrative section, which can be up to 5,000 characters long, I put links for all my other online videos of bike trips. Those that and I post the same videos on Vimeo, and they have several, quite a few lines of print below the video frame, and then you click the read more link in the narrative section, that opens it up, and then same thing, up to 5,000 characters. I can list links for prior videos that I posted for trips like this. So the question is, how much is enough for these videos? We've already had the dramatic scenery. Perhaps I should pull over and put away the video camera and switch back to my regular helmet, since this is probably overkill for rural scenery of Croatia. The island of Hvar, H-V-A-R. Another road crossing of potential danger. Whoa!
I'm waiting for all of them.
Okay, we got a little gap here. Not much. Yeah, it looks like a left turn here on the GPS. Don't fall off the lane here. Could be quite painful. Who knows, only a couple foot drop off back there. So another thing, if you're riding on the electric bike, all the gears are in the back. A sprocket in the back which has all the gears you change, which is like 10. And then the other thing you get is a kickstand, whereas all the other bikes, which are like 3 speeds in the front and 9 gears in the back or whatever, 27 speed. You don't get a kickstand with Backroads. So you got to find some place to lean the bike up every time you stop the bike. But it's real nice with the electric bike. Not only do you have some electric assist, but you also have a kickstand, so you just flip the kickstand down, park the bike real easily. Okay, so I'm gonna shut this down because I'm believing there's not any great scenery compared to what we just went over. Bye. So here's the setup with the non-motorized bike. No kickstand, so you got to lean it up against a wall or a high curb or something. But the rest of us with power have kickstands, so it's been very handy with the electric. For our afternoon biking session, we climbed back up to the top of a tall hill where this restaurant and gift shop thing is. So it seemed like sort of a weird challenge and a weird trick to end back up here and do a whole bunch more biking. The best part of the Backroads adventure, plus made possible for me by the power assist. This is a carrier that attaches behind the vans, which is mainly used, as I understand it, for the power bikes because they're so much heavier. These bikes are the lighter weight 27-speed unpowered bikes, which weigh maybe 20 pounds less, like 30-pound bikes or 25-pound bikes even maybe. These can be flipped upside down and put on special trays, which is what it always used to be until they got the power assist bikes. I try not to put the power assist bikes up here because they're a lot heavier.
Hello.
But,
of Korcula, which is known as the Little Dubrovnik, designed by Venetian architecture hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's basically a Dubrovnik on a much smaller scale. Absolutely beautiful. I think every leader agrees that this island is kind of our favorite. I mean, we'll obviously let you guys decide if that's the case, but really looking forward to a great day of riding. So let's get into some specifics here. Again, we're starting in the town of Zavalatica, and the first ride today is going to be 34.8 kilometers, about 35K, 531 meters of climbing. Okay, so in miles and feet, that's 21 miles, 1,600 feet. Okay, so we're starting our ride today, and we're going to head out and leave the village of Zavalatica and get on some more of those back roads. One thing I want to call out is the first 4 kilometers of the ride today is going to be on a busier road, so just be conscious of the cars and conscious of how you're spacing each other apart. Okay? After the main road section, you're going to go through the small little town of Blato. Blato means mud, literally means mud. The town used to be underwater, covered in kind of like a swampy area. And then over time, the water kind of receded, and they 3 kilometers consistently up to our first support stop of the day, which is going to be at the 11-kilometer point. Okay, 11-kilometer point is our first support stop of the day. Nina's going to be up there with some special treats for you guys, some local treats, local pastries that you guys can try out before your first big downhill of the day. Okay, so the downhill section is about 7 kilometers consistently downhill, and that's going to essentially help us access the coastal part of our ride.
Basically, Croatian history, or at least Croatian modern history, is kind of, it really built its identity on the war that was happening in the 90s, as well as Yugoslavia, because nowadays still a big portion of Croatian people lived in former Republic of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was a socialist communist country that consisted of what nowadays is 6 separated republics. So Yugoslavia consisted of Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro and North Macedonia. So nowadays those countries are all for themselves, have their own constitutions, presidents, prime ministers, but in the past that country, which lasted for 45 years, 45 years, excuse me, was ruled most of the time by only one leader, one president, and it was dictatorship. Not as strong dictatorship as in maybe some other socialist countries, but still you didn't have much freedom.
So this is day 4 on a new island, the Backroads trip. I think this is Korcula Island, if memory serves. So we just finished 12 kilometers uphill, had a break at the top of the hill with the Backroads van, and then we're on a downhill slope. You know, you usually think of your legs getting tired while biking, but I've been noticing, there we go, I've been noticing that my fingers are tired on the downhill from applying brakes to keep from going as fast as that guy was going. So back to the, there we go, 1, 2, 3. Those are people from our group. Get the feel for the uphill climb here or not. Except we're going downhill. So this is the next town I'll be going through. And look at the view they have. So this is 22 kilometers into our trip today, and we are approaching another little town, and this is what I can see of their scenery. So this is about 32 kilometers into our day and our stop for a lunch break. A little bit hard to see the mountains on the adjacent island. We have a zoom.
No swimming for y'all today?
Is it now?
You can go now. I'm going to go now, so then you draw.
Let's do it.
Off your bike out of there.
So,
Because the width of the
and
rack
it's like
isn't good with the disc brakes.
And then breathing, it's like I'm breathing through congestion. So even though I have an e-bike, it still was hard.
No, their day bags are down here already.
Go back and take it back.
They're down here already. I was about to have a panic attack.
We got you.
So this is day 4, the afternoon bike ride. And this is the view from about 6 kilometers into the afternoon ride. And so this is 12 kilometers into the afternoon ride, and this is a top of a hill we just went over, a mountain it felt like. So this is day 5 of our bike trip in Croatia. We've had 2 short rides this morning. The first one was to a beach, and then this one going through a little town, and it's the sort of scenery we have. We've been biking along this roadway which parallels this waterway for quite a while on this second trip of the morning, but there's only occasional views of the water, so I stopped here because this is much more of a panoramic view. We're still up to the turning around point. The first trip we took to a beach and then back to the parking lot of the hotel where we started, then we took off on this trip. So this is about 16 kilometers we biked for the second trip of the morning. First trip was about, I think, 24 kilometers, and it ends at this port, but you can't see much of the waters beyond because of all the boats in the way, plus we're not elevated anymore. So this is the U-turn point. We go back another 16 kilometers, which I think will take us right back to the hotel that we started from this morning. So again, this is 16 kilometers into our second bike ride of the morning. And this was the boats I couldn't see through to get some of this panoramic view, and I think I can get a little bit better view up the hill of what's around the corner of that land there once you get a little bit more elevation. Wonderful scenery that all these people live in.
Hi, Dave! I hope we miss you, Laura!
We missed you, Laura. Thank you.
So this is just up the hill from the turnaround point, 16 kilometers in the second part of the trip on day on day 5. In fact, I think we're going to leave our bikes for the rest of the day. So anyway, the harbor was off to the left there, which is no longer visible. And this is the view above these trees. And we were paralleling this waterway for most of our 16 kilometers this morning, but a lot of times we couldn't see it because of all the surrounding trees.
It's 10:37. And what time do we leave?
11:45.
Oh.
Hey! Good place for
An ambush.
rocking through Croatia. Make it look like I'm going faster.
And that could be the last of them before the van. Hard to know. Hard to know this. Who's counting? This is a fairly large group. In fact, the largest I've seen. 25 participants plus 2 Backroads leaders plus 2 support leaders.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. Zoom too much on that one.
Dave, I got this. I got this.
I think I can.
So again, that was a couple who are using the manual bikes, which makes hills so much tougher. But that's a true life experience of biking. And then there's surviving and just getting through it with the help of electric assist. I guess another comment about this trip is what is the story with Croatians and steps? In order to get to our restaurant, we had to go up a whole long series of steps. And once we got up to that area there, we ended up having to go down a whole bunch more steps to get to the area where the restaurants were with view of the waterfront. So, just too much climbing. We had one hotel that had a huge number of steps as well. And there didn't seem to be an elevator around, well, an elevator option around going up so many steps between the main desk and the outside and the main desk and the hotel rooms, despite there being elevators also for parts of the way. Anyway, just my comment on steps. Okay, this is still day 5. We have left our bikes behind and we are on a water taxi leaving the last town, which I should remember the name of, but I don't. And we're going to mainland right over here. And then we're going to get on a bus. It's 2 hours to Dubrovnik, where we have our final hotel. Tomorrow we're supposed to have a walking tour of Dubrovnik for 2 hours in the morning, and they just dismiss us. Anyway, that's our latest date for the Backroads trip. And now 2 hours to Dubrovnik once we get out of this.
Check one, check one. Hey everybody, can you hear me? Nice, great. Alright team, we already know pretty much everything, just a few more pieces of information. 2 hours approximately to get to Dubrovnik, to the Hilton Imperial there. In case you'll be thirsty, there are some water bottles here, so let us know and we can provide this to you. The road might be windy at some point, but I think we should be nice. The view is going to be very nice, especially on the right hand side. And we're going to meet tonight at 6:30 at the lobby, and then we're just going to take a walk to the old town of Dubrovnik and have several drinks and nice lovely dinner in one of the beautiful squares over there. Nick and I will both be at the farewell reception. However, I'm going to be staying on a dinner with you because Nick stayed on day 1. And I think this is it. I might use my microphone one more time if I forgot to mention something, but yeah. I'm protected. And we can have a group picture on the main square there once before the dinner. It will be a nice, lovely memory. Thank you guys and enjoy the ride.
Okay, day 6 of our Backroads trip has breakfast followed by 2-hour tour of downtown Dubrovnik and then a trip to the airport for us.
This is how it looks like. You can see standing next to that white flag.
Took a lot of climbing to get to the top here. More steps than I care to count.
Yeah. So they actually physically put green screen and then they add this for production. And then this one is they're standing over there. The cameras are there inside the old town shooting towards us. And this is us at St. Lawrence. We are right here. If you turn around and look up, you're going to see that the top bit is missing because it's completely CGI. Except, unlike the previous one, you can't tell it's CGI because it's Series 7. They're spending $12 million per episode. So.
For the cannibal. Not for the cannibal, but for the...
Yeah, might as well. Should we move on? There's a lot of fans of
Not many of us care. So don't spend too much time.
I will.